So good evening, guys. Welcome back to Harvest Moon Farm. Today we're going to be doing a couple different things. I've got a bunch of blueberries that I've had in my freezer. I took some of those out. I have a lot, so there's still some in there. But I'm going to use this first batch. I'm going to make some blueberry jelly. We're about out of most of our jellies that we have downstairs. I did just add the strawberry preserves that we made the other day. So got that back in my stash. So I'm going to make some blueberry today, and then I'm also going to take one of the chickens that we butchered earlier in the fall, and we're going to use that to make Instant Pot rotisserie chicken. And then I've got some vegetables that will go along with that for our dinner tonight. So those are all things that will use up items that I have in my pantry or in my freezer to be part of this pantry challenge. So we're going to go ahead and start with the jelly. And since I don't like the skins of the blueberries in my jelly, I prefer it to be just the clear liquid to make my jelly. So I'm going to cook these down a little bit, and then I'm going to run them through my sauce master, and then I will take just the juice and add the pectin and the calcium water and all of that stuff to it. So we're going to start by putting our blueberries in our pot and start cooking them down. And so these are all blueberries that my husband had gotten from something, I don't even remember what. We had a bunch of them, and we've eaten a bunch of them fresh. I put them in muffins and breads. It was perfect for that. It was just about the right amount to make bread with or muffins. But this batch I'm going to turn into jelly, as I said. So I'm just going to open these up and dump them in here. And now that I've said something about the blueberry muffins or bread, now that sounds delicious, and now I want some. So maybe we'll make some of that this weekend. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so I emptied 8 bags in here. Each one of them had about 1.5 cups of blueberries. I do have some more here. I can't decide if I want to go ahead and add those or just leave them. I think I will go ahead and open these others and add them into this pot as well. Okay, so while those berries start cooking down so that I can run through my sauce master, I'm going to go ahead and go get some jelly jars, get my sauce master, and get everything set up so that I can finish processing those once they've heated through. Okay, so the blueberries are thawed now, so I'm just going to let those simmer while they, oops, I don't think I have that on right, while they kind of cook down. So while that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and mix up the seasoning mixture for our chicken. So we need 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 2 teaspoons of dried thyme, 1.5 teaspoons of paprika, 1 teaspoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. All right, so I'm just going to stir this mixture together. Just mix it all up really well. And the recipe calls for a 4-pound whole chicken. My chicken is about 3 pounds. That's what I have, so that's what I'm going to use. And what we want to do is just dry our chicken with paper towels so there's no excess moisture or liquid sitting on it. If you have If you bought a chicken from the store and it still has the giblets, you want to go ahead and remove those. We removed ours when we processed them, so now we're going to take our salt mixture and we're going to season our chicken both inside and out. So I'm just going to put a few spoons of this down inside the chicken. And we'll put some over the top. Just want to kind of rub that all around the chicken. All right, so we're going to cook this. We're going to cook this in our Instant Pot. So we're going to set our Instant Pot on high saute. We're going to add some oil. Let me see how much that was. 2 tablespoons of oil. Oh, and actually I forgot one thing. The recipe also calls for 1 lemon to be cut in half and put inside the chicken. I don't have any lemons, so I'm going to use a lime. Okay, so I've got that set on high saute. What we're going to do is, oh my goodness, this little thing keeps rolling around on me. What we're going to do now is we're going to put our chicken, we're going to add our oil to the pot. And then we're going to put our chicken breast side down in the Instant Pot. And then I'm going to put the lid on. We're going to let that cook about 4 or 5 minutes. So to go with this, we're going to roast some carrots, potatoes, and squash. But because I don't want the squash to burn and I want the carrots and potatoes to be done, I'm going to put those in a bowl in the microwave and let them cook. And I'm just going to have part of a bag here. So I have a 2-pound bag. I poured out about half of that. And I'm just going to leave those carrots just like they are. And then I'm going to use about half this bag of potatoes. This is a 1.5-pound bag of baby potatoes. I'm going to use about half of it. Whoops. They're all trying to run away from me. And I'm just going to cut these in half and throw them in my bowl. All right, so it's been 5 minutes on my chicken, so I'm going to take the lid off, turn the chicken over, and let it cook another 4 to 5 minutes. Alright, so my carrots and potatoes, I'm just going to add enough water to cover them, and then I'm going to put them in the microwave to start cooking. Alright, so now we're going to remove our chicken from the pot so that we can put our little metal trivet in. I'm going to put our trivet in here, and then I'm going to add 1 cup of chicken stock. I'm going to put my chicken back in. Okay, so we want to do high pressure for 28 minutes, and then we're just going to let that cook. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to put some of this in our sauce master. Oh goodness, I just dripped everywhere. This thing is great, but it is so messy. So I'm gonna go away. Put that there. I'm gonna let that drain for a minute, and then I'm going to turn it, and it will push the juice out. Okay, so I finished with the blueberries in the sauce master. I managed to splash blueberry all over me, all over the counter, all over the floor, everywhere, but it's, I think, mostly cleaned up now. But I ended up with 12 cups of juice. So I need to add 6 teaspoons, 12 teaspoons of calcium water. And 12 teaspoons would be the same as 4 tablespoons. So I have this calcium water left from when I made the strawberry preserves the other day. So let me see if I have 4 tablespoons here. And I did, so that was good. So I'm gonna start cooking that. So now we wanna bring that to a boil and let that calcium water cook in. And while that's happening, I'm gonna go ahead and measure out our sugar and pectin. So we need 12 teaspoons of pectin and 2 1/4 to 6 cups of sugar. So hopefully I have enough sugar in my container. All right, I did have to go down to my storage and get some more sugar out of my bulk storage. And I think I'm going to use about 3 1/2 cups of sugar. The strawberry preserves that I made were really good, but they're not quite sweet enough for my taste. So I'm going to use about 3 1/2 here. And then we need the 12 teaspoons or 4 tablespoons of pectin. So one thing is, if you're doing a whole bunch of jelly or jams at one time, you have plenty of calcium water typically, but you may not have enough pectin. I did today find out that you could order just the pectin in a 1/2 or 1 pound bag. So I ordered a 1/2 pound so I would have it. Because each one comes with just 3 tablespoons. So I needed to open this other package so that I would have the other tablespoon, or I don't remember if I said teaspoon or tablespoon. It comes with 3 tablespoons, and so I needed to open this other box so that I would end up with 4 tablespoons. So I'm going to stir the pectin and sugar together so that once we've got our fruit juice boiling, we can go ahead and add this to the mixture. One thing we need to do with this jelly is add some lemon juice. 1/4 cup per recipe, and I've got three times the recipe in here. So I'm going to go ahead and put 3/4 cup of lemon juice into my fruit juice and calcium water. And that is because this fruit is a low acid fruit, and we want to make sure that we add bottled lemon juice or lime juice so that we make sure the pH is correct, so that we get a good seal on our jelly jars. So our timer just went off on the Instant Pot, so our chicken's done, and we're just going to let that depressurize naturally, and then I can go ahead and get the rest of the vegetables going while that is depressurizing. So I'm going to add another 5 minutes to our potatoes and carrots. I want to make sure those are pretty much done before I put them in the oven with the squash. So just like with our strawberry preserves, we want to leave a 1/4 inch of headspace on our blueberry jelly as well. So when I start filling those jars, I'll make sure to leave a 1/4 inch of headspace. Okay, so while we're waiting on our jelly juice to start boiling and our other vegetables be done, I'm going to go ahead and cut up my squash. Alright, so this is starting to boil. We just want to make sure that it comes to a steady boil that I can't stir out, which it's pretty close. And then we're going to add our sugar and pectin mixture. Alright, so now I'm just going to stir this till it comes back to a boil and keep stirring it for about a minute or two. We just want to make sure that the sugar and pectin gets all well mixed into this juice. Right now there's some little clumps in it, but that will mix in as this comes back to a boil. Okay, so I did use a whisk to kind of make sure that all that got whisked in so that we didn't have any clumps, and it looks really good now. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat off and start getting my jars out. And I have these jars sitting in a sink of hot water. Alright, so I am going to wipe the rims of my jars and use a new lid and a canning ring. And then I'm going to put these in my steam canner because I only need to process for 10 minutes. These jars are really, really hot. This jelly is so hot. Alright, it smells really good though. And honestly, I can barely smell anything because of my cold, but I can still smell the jelly, so. 7 left. I'm not going to be able to get all of them in this batch, so I'm going to go ahead and process them 8 and 7. So I'm going to put my lid on here, and I'm going to let that start heating up while I finish putting lids and rings on these last few jars, and then clean up the jelly that I spilled all over the counter. Alright, so the carrots and potatoes are pretty much cooked now, so I'm going to add, I drained those, so I'm going to add the zucchini and the yellow summer squash to this bowl. And then I'm just going to pour some olive oil over it. This is some olive oil that's been infused with lemon. And then I'm going to add some pepper and some salt. And some minced garlic. Then I'm just going to mix this all together and spread it out on my baking sheet here that I've covered with a piece of parchment paper. Ooh, these look so good. Alright, so I'm going to spread these out. Whoa! Spread these out on here. I've got the oven preheated to 400, and I'm going to put that in there for about 10 or 15 minutes and then just check it for, just check it to see when I like the way it looks. So I want them to get a little bit crunchy but not burnt. So I'm going to set for 10 minutes and then I'll check them and see how they look. Alright, so the 10-minute timer on the first batch of jelly jars just went off. So I've turned the heat off and set it for 5 more minutes for its cooling period. And when that goes off, I'll remove the lid and put those jars on the towel and get the next batch processing. Alrighty, so here is the chicken. It's done. It looks amazing. It smells amazing. It's clearly done. The legs are like falling off. My husband will not be home for another hour and a half probably. So I'm going to go ahead and eat. So I'm going to put this back in the Instant Pot so that it will stay warm in that juice. And then I'm going to get me some of the vegetables. Alright, so I've got my chicken. I'm going to get me some of these veggies. And I think I'm going to go ahead and stick this pan of veggies back in the oven, at least for a little while. Okay, so we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 jars of this blueberry jelly. And so I'm going to let these sit until tomorrow, make sure that everything is sealed, and then I'll mark them, take the screw caps off, and go ahead and put them downstairs in my storage. And now I'm going to enjoy my chicken and vegetables. I'm going to take a little bit of this chicken and see. It looks, oh my gosh, it's so tender. Very good. Let's try a little bite of vegetables. Veggies could use just a little salt, but I always hate to salt things too much when I'm cooking it. So I opt to go a little bit lighter on the salt versus heavier, just in case, and then if we need more salt when we're eating it, then we can add it. Okay, I just want to thank you guys for hanging out with me this evening while we made some more jelly. And I tried this chicken recipe. Obviously, it was delicious. I think it'll be a big hit with my husband as well. If you are not a current subscriber, if you would please consider subscribing, I would really appreciate it. And I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.